There were more than just pregame nerves in the air in Kansas City. Taylor Swift was sitting on a barstool in Travis Kelce's luxurious apartment. Her pale hand was nervously twisting a diamond-encrusted clutch which stood out against her bright red lipstick. Travis is usually a ball of energy, but he was noticeably calm. They had been dated for 2 years, and their relationship started quickly during award shows and championship games. But recently there was a chill between them. Travis Taylor said in a stern voice, "We need to talk." Travis finally looked at her through a half-empty beer bottle. He said, "Shoot." Taylor took a deep breath to calm down. "This isn't working, is it?" Travis jerked. "What do you mean?" "We're at a crossroads," Taylor said, her voice getting stronger. "Between the tours, the games, the media circus, it's all a whirlwind." Travis said, "That's what we love," with a rebellious look in his eyes. "The adventure, the adrenaline." "Maybe," Taylor replied, "but it's also tiring. We don't even have time to breathe, let alone see each other." The only sound that broke the silence was Travis' as glass of ice clinking. He finally spoke, but his voice was rough. "So what are you saying?" They looked at each other. "Travis, I need a partner. Someone who wants to build a life with you and not just go after the next prize or tour stop." Emotions that once said filled the air. Travis ran his hand through his hair. "Tay, I love you. You already know that. But football is my life and you." He stopped and looked down at his spinning beer. "Have dreams to," Taylor finished for him. Her voice was strong, but it was full of tears that she hadn't shed yet. "And those dreams include a white picket fence, maybe someday, not just a red carpet." Travis slammed his bottle down, and the sound echoed through the huge apartment. "You're giving me an ultimatum." Taylor stood up, and she looked very royal. "Not really. Just a wake-up call. We can keep going like this, or we can." She stopped speaking, leaving the word breakup hang in the air. Travis looked up at her with a face that showed both anger and desire. They looked at each other for a long time, to queens of their own worlds, brought down by the weight of unspoken wishes. The outcome of their talk, like the next part of their fast-paced romance, was still unwritten and hung in the tensor of Kansas City. Could Travis choose the thrill of the game or risk everything for love with the singer? Time and maybe a country song at the right time will tell. There were more than just pregame nerves in the air in Kansas City. Tiffany Swift was sitting on a barstool in Travis Kelce's huge apartment with a half-empty glass of Merlot swirling in her hand. The diamonds on her fingers sparkled like little disco balls, but her normally bright eyes were less bright. Travis was patted over his hair, still wet from the shower, and he had a silly grin on his face. He growled, "Hey pretty," and leaned in for a kiss. Taylor gave her a nice kiss on the face. The air was thick with the word when that they didn't say. No one told Travis, so he took a beer out of the fridge. "Are you ready for tomorrow's game? Are you going to the field?" After Taylor let out a sigh which normally meant a new song was about to start, but today it was filled with unspoken anger. "Travis, we need to talk." His smile broke, and the confused look took its place. The smile that used to be in his eyes was replaced by a look of worry. As he sat down on the stool next to her, Taylor began his carefully planned speech with a melody of veiled hints and pointed questions that all led to the same obvious conclusion: ring. Travis was great on the field, but he seemed to stumble when it came to his feelings. He mumbled something about the season, his sponsors, and the stress of having to keep another promise. Taylor, who was great at telling stories, didn't believe it. Her voice, which was usually a sweet melody, turned harsh. "Is that all there is to it?" Travis worried about your job. "Is there something else?" The question hung in the air, accusing and shot. Travis jerked and looked away briefly. After that, there was a nervous silence broken only by the sound of Taylor's glass clinking. She finally spoke, and her voice was soft but firm. "I understand if you're not ready. It's getting old for me to wait, though. Travis, I need to know if we're going to be serious. And if not." She trailed off, but the threat was still there. Travis looked down at the cards in his hands. They showed a man stuck between a score and a fumble. Someone had taken away Travis, the casual guy who had blown her away with his charm and athleticism. He was replaced by a man who was struggling with the weight of her and maybe even his own demands. At the end of the night, no big announcements or crying were made. Instead, there was a heavy silence that surrounded them like a thick fog. The skyline of Kansas City, which generally gives people ideas, looked cold and uninterested as Taylor walked away. Could this be the end of their quick romance, an unwritten story? Or would Travis step up and change the story with a big move that would be worthy of a song that will last forever? That could only be known with time and maybe the next part of Taylor's life. The air in Kansas City was thick with the smell of grilling and chants. Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift's boyfriend, came out of the locker room and stood backstage at Arrowhead Stadium. She looked beautiful in a sunflower pattern dress. People all over the country were fascinated by their quick romance, which was written about in famous gossip blogs. There was something different in the air tonight, though, under the bright stadium lights. With a game-winning goal under his belt, Travis came out victorious. Instead of his normal silly grin, he had a nervous twitch. Taylor didn't hug him when he went for her. Instead, she held him at arm's length. In the summer, her eyes sparkled like lakes, but this time they were a dark blue. "Travis," she said in a voice that was almost a whisper, "we need to talk." A look of unease appeared on Travis's face. As they snuck off to a quiet area, the crowd cheers were drowned out. Taylor did not spend any time. 6 months, Travis, she told him in a strong voice. 6 months of sneaky moments, flights late at night, and avoiding the paparazzi. It must be thrilling, right? Travis, try to make things better by being a charmer. It's the best kind of crazy day. Taylor wouldn't change his mind, though. Is that all you care about, Travis? A quick love story to add to your off-season trophy collection. Travis, his smile broke. No, of course not. He didn't know what to say. You're Taylor Swift. And you're Travis Kelce, the perennial all-pro with the heart of gold, or so they say, Taylor replied, adding a bitter tone to her voice. But Travis, where does this go? Am I just an extra part of your celebrity persona? Travis tried to take her hand, but she pushed him away. He begged her, I love you, Taylor. Ido. Love isn't enough, Travis, she told him, her voice a little shaky. Living between stadiums and studios can't keep putting my life on hold. If you really want this, then. She took a big breath in. Then it's time to take the next step. Travis, his eyes got bigger. The next step. Taylor looked right into his eyes, and her voice made it clear what she meant. Ring or go away, Travis. That's the last chance. Her words weighed a lot in the air. Travis, who was used to the crowd's roar, couldn't say a word. When he looked at Taylor, the woman who singing and with had won his heart, he saw for the first time how vulnerable she was behind her fame. They didn't know what would happen with their relationship and that quiet part of Arrowhead Stadium. When a singing superstar and an athlete star's worlds collide, they have to face what happily ever after really means.